guarding is an unnatural contraction. The muscles have to be contracting all the time, say 10%. Nobody really knows what percentage yet. Science hasn't gotten that far yet, but let's just say it's 10%, and you need to have all of your muscles contracting 10% all the time just to hold your skeleton together. If you undergo surgery and they put you under with anesthetic, when they're moving you onto the gurney, you have to be careful not to move you by your humerus, because the ball will come right out of the socket when your muscles are not contracting. So your muscles need to contract, let's say 10% all the time. If your muscles start contracting 20% because of some stress in your current life, or because some stress long ago kind of stored itself in a particular part of your body, then that's guarding. And it's the cerebellum in your hindbrain that is in control of, it's kind of got a volume knob, and guarding higher, guarding lower. And you know, many factors influence whether the guarding is going to go higher or lower. The hindbrain, the cerebellum, has kind of primitive ways of thinking, and it's basically safety. You know, so if a saber-toothed tiger is chasing you, and if you trip when you're being chased by the saber-toothed tiger and you sprain your ankle, it's going to guard all the muscles that cross that joint and clamp them down to create kind of a splinting action so that you can continue running. You have a cast on your foot basically because of all of the muscles that are contracting splint the area, but at least you're able to continue running. And if the cerebellum didn't provide that guarding, then you would be at the mercy and you'd be somebody else's food. So the cerebellum really thinks in that survival instinct kind of fight or flight type of thinking, you know, eat or be eaten. And so everything that we can do as therapists to create a more calming atmosphere for the people, and I'm a safe person, and that my office feels safe and I dress in a way, or my cologne, or all of those factors need to come into play to help a person feel safe on the massage table. And that's one way of communicating with the cerebellum to help that person relax. This is a demonstration of the motion of the obliquus capitis inferior muscle, which is pink here. There's the right one. There's the left one. We'll move these out of the way for now. The right obliquus attaches the spinous process of C2 to the transverse process of C1. And what happens when it pulls those two things together? Well, let me point back here. If you see this little doohickey sticking up right back there, that is the dens of C2, and it provides a post, like a finger sticking up, that the C1 has kind of a ring that rotates on that post. So if we contract the right obliquus, then that's going to pull, and if C2 remains kind of more stabilized, it's going to pull C1 closer to C2, and it's going to create a rotating motion. If the right one contracts, then the person's going to rotate their head to the right. So I'm just going to grab this little string here and pull, and we'll see what happens. He rotated his head to the right. Okay. And if I pull the other one, rotates his head to the left. Right. Left. And you see the kind of sliding surfaces. Boy, this is a nice illustration of the sliding surfaces. Yeah, that looks real good. You can see the dens sticking up of C2. You can see how C1 moves with the head in rotation. C1 and the head move together, and C2 and everything below stays put. That is beautiful. Okay, so this person has rotated to the right and left. Do you want some more vegetable soup? Here we have the splenius capitis, which effectively attaches from the mastoid process to the spinous process of T1. If I were to contract these muscles, we could get head rotation as well. You see it also kind of pulls the head backward. And if this would also side bend the head like this when it pulled. But as far as just those little rotation movements, the obliquus is much better designed for pure rotation. And just the little motions you do every day, like because of its angle is, in fact, in this demonstration, it's actually much flatter like this. It's almost horizontal in a real body. So when it contracts, its pure motion is to bring this closer to this, which is pure rotation. So the obliquus is the best muscle there is for rotating the head from 45 degrees this way, back to neutral, to 45 degrees this way, back to neutral. That's half of the rotation available in the head. If you want to go farther than this, then you have to start engaging this as well. So we're going to rotate the first 45 with the obliquus, and then continue rotating with the splenius capitis, which will rotate the rest of the facets from C2, C3, C4 until you get 90 degrees.